Hello beautiful people of the internet, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and I'm so excited that you've joined me to freak out today. We are talking about my mid-year freakout tag today. So if you've never heard of the mid-year freakout tag before, basically it is just a list of questions that kind of act as a check-in for each of us to kind of show how we're doing so far reading this year. As of right now, I'm not freaking out because I think I'm doing pretty good as far as my reading progress. I would like to read 100 books this year. I read exactly 100 books last year, so I would like to try and do that again. So far this year, I've read 54 books. So I think that's a pretty good number. I'm hoping that I'm not going to hit like any big reading slumps the rest of the year, but you know what? School starts in August and who knows where that bus is going to take us. I do need to tell you that I am a very indecisive person and have put multiple answers for each of these. The first question is the best book that you've read so far this year. And I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way because I know that you guys are sick and tired of hearing me talk about this series. I'm apologizing in advance because I'm not going to stop. And that is Ignite Me by Tara Maffei. This is book 3 of the Shatter Me series that Tara Maffei has wrote. This series is the best series I've ever read. I realize that that is a bold statement to bring forth, but I 100% stand behind it because this book alone is worth the entire series to me. This series follows our main character, Juliet, and from a young child, Juliet has not been able to touch someone because her touch is lethal and it can kill. And so from a young child, she was kind of thrown into prisons, asylums. She was very shunned away because everybody was obviously terrified of her. This man named Aaron Warner, who is a commander of the reestablishment. This is a dystopian novel, so there are dystopian themes in here. There are movements, types of government. So Aaron Warner is a commander of the movement that everybody else is against. So Juliet catches Aaron Warner's eye and he's like, I need to use her as a weapon for the cause of the reestablishment. And things just ensue from there. Like, that is a very, very broad synopsis of this whole series. But if I can tell you one thing, the tension, the romantic tension between these two characters, so good. It's so good. And I loved this book so incredibly much. I want to show you my tabs because it's kind of ridiculous how much I enjoyed this book alone. So even if you've read the series and you read book 1 and you're like, that's not really for me, please stick it out to at least this book. If you don't like this book, then you can give up on it, but at least you need to make it to this one because this one makes the whole series for me. The next best book that I've read this year is Up to No Good by Linda Riley. This is a cute, cozy mystery that I had never heard about before, and I just picked it up on a whim, and I'm so glad I did because this is easily one of my favorite cozy mysteries of all time. So this book follows our main character, Carly, and Carly owns a grilled cheese shop. And that, my friends, alone is worth the entire read because when I tell you how much I wanted a grilled cheese, I wanted a grilled cheese the entire time I was reading this. You better believe that I made one. But one day, there is a dead body that is found next to her dumpster outside of her grilled cheese shop. And so obviously her and her coworkers are looked at as suspects. And this one is just so good. It will make you want a grilled cheese, but it's such a fun time. And lastly, the best book that I read this year was Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is the 3rd book in the Dreamland Billionaire series, and I'm so sad to see it come to an end because I love, 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 love these characters, and I'm so sad to see them go. If you're not familiar with this series, each of the books follows a brother in this family, and this one follows Cal. And Cal is set to inherit his grandfather's lake house, but here's the catch, so is Elena. This was a feel-good time, but also sort of a heavy time because you kind of delve into Cal's personal life more, because in the other two books you see him, but you don't really see the things that he deals with. And in this one, you really see what he goes through. And this book holds a special place in my heart, more so than the other books in the series. The next question is best sequel that you've read this year. And y'all, I'm just gonna get it out of the way. There you go, there's your answer. Next question, new release you haven't read yet. The first one that comes to mind is actually one that comes out today, and you all know that I could not have a video without mentioning Riley Sager. Riley Sager actually just came out with a new thriller, and it is called The Only One Left. And apparently this one is supposed to be like super dark, super gothic. I'm not 100% what this one is about. All I know is that it's by Riley Sager, and honestly, that's all I need to know. The next new release that I cannot wait to get to is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This is book number 2 in the When in Rome series that Sarah Adams has written, and I actually just read When in Rome last month and absolutely adored it. There is something about Sarah Adams' writing and how she does a romance that is just so unique and different than anything I've ever read before. Like I said, this is book 2. It is following Annie and Will, and Annie is Noah's sister from the first book, and Will is Amelia's bodyguard from the first book. And I just love that we saw both of these characters in the first book, and now they're getting their own book. If you did not watch my Meeting Sarah Adams and Tessa Bailey video, I asked her if she was going to continue with this series because Noah has 2 other sisters, and she said yes, that the rest of the sisters will get their own book, and I'm so excited, and you better believe that I'm going to pick those up. The next question is the most anticipated release to come for the last half of the year. And for that question, I have 3 answers because I could not just pick one. So the first one that I'm excited for is called Fatal Fudge Swirl by Mary Allen. And this is book 3 of the Ice Cream Shop Mystery series. I actually just finished the first one, which is called Rocky Road to Ruin. Absolutely loved it. I think that it was so good. It was so much fun, and it was a perfect escape from reality. If you've never looked up this author, Mary Allen, she is just the cutest little thing. She actually loves ice cream in real life, and she's all the time posting ice cream on her Instagram. So if you've not looked her up, you need to. The next release that I'm excited for is Crossed by Emily McIntyre. This is book 5 in her Dark Disney reimaginings. I'm so excited about this one. And this is a Hunchback of Notre Dame reimagining. Again, if you're not familiar with this series, this is a dark romance series that takes the Disney villains that we all know and love and hate and takes them and turns them into good guys who actually get the girl. I love this series so much. Again, it is a dark romance. Please know that. Please know that going in, it is a dark romance. It does have some darker themes in it. There is just something about her writing that just keeps you captivated and wanting to know more. And lastly, the last release that I'm so excited to get my hands on is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This is the start of her new series, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's another billionaire series. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that though. But the cover alone, instant buy. Lauren Asher in this cover, you don't have to tell me anything about it actually. Next question is a fun one, and that is biggest disappointments so far this year. I've got 2 of those. These 2 books I was actually really excited for because both of them are really cute, and they're both romances, and I was really anticipating them, and both of them let me down. So the first one being Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. I actually ended up DNFing this like 120 pages into it because it was not doing anything for me. Now, I will say that I was going through a huge slump at the time that I read this, and that might have tainted my enjoyment of it, but I really don't think so. Because, first of all, this is a YA romance, and YA romances can be hit or miss for me, because if you don't do it right, then you don't have my attention, okay? And not saying anything about this author, I just don't think that this author is for me. And I don't know why, because her books are so cute looking and they sound so cute, and everybody seems to love everything that she writes, but I can't get into her writing. Man, I was really disappointed about this one. My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. This is one of Tessa Bailey's books that you don't really hear a lot about, and for good reason. And I'm not going to say anything bad about Tessa Bailey, because I truly do love her books and I love her writing. I think it's hilarious. She's the same way she is in person in her books. Like, I could hear her voice through her characters. This just was not it for me. I think the main thing that just gave me the ick when it came to this book, that the main girl was just portrayed as this little puppy dog that followed this big guy around, and who constantly was getting herself into trouble. She was constantly putting herself in situations that, honestly, like, you would have to be very, very ditzy to put yourself into. And I don't know, I just don't I think Tessa Bailey sometimes writes ditzy characters because it makes the romance a little better. I just have a thing against ditzy airhead characters, and I don't appreciate them. I don't really, it wasn't my cup of tea. There were a lot of scenes in here too that was just like a little bit cringy. I don't know. This just wasn't it. This just wasn't it. Again, I can give you another Tessa Bailey recommendation, but not this one. The next question is biggest surprise, and I am so excited to talk to you about these books because I love these so much. I think the first one was probably my biggest surprise yet, like throughout my entire reading journey, because it completely threw me off guard. And that is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. I did not physically read this. I read this audibly, so let me make that clear. So I cannot give you a recommendation based off of a physical reading of it, but I did listen to the audiobook. The audiobook is amazing. The Giver of Stars takes place in the Depression era in Kentucky, and there is kind of talk amongst this small town that there's going to be a mobile library come to this small town. And obviously a lot of the men in here are really against it, because back then, like, women had their place, and they were like, I mean, the women are gonna like revolt if they start this mobile library. Our main character, Alice, actually volunteers to be one of the first people to work the mobile library, as well as this woman named Marjorie. The friendship aspect in here is the best part about this book, because I've never read a book that has such a dense, tight friendship as this one does. And honestly, just the celebration of women in general is a huge theme in here, and I absolutely adored it. The next book that took me by complete surprise was The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. And the reason that this one took me by surprise was because I did read The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth, and I do know that her writing is a little bit different than your normal thriller writer. I don't really think that she should be classified as a thriller. I think it's more of a kind of literary fiction mystery, because her books are really eerie, but they're not, I wouldn't classify them as a thriller. I picked up The Soulmate thinking that it was going to be a thriller and was completely let down. I didn't really care for that one at all, and so I was kind of hesitant going back into a Sally Hepworth. But this one, oh my gosh, if you pick up any Sally Hepworth, from at least the ones that I've read, let it be this one, because this was a complete bombshell. This one is following two sisters, Fern and Rose, and they have had a really rough childhood, and they've kind of had to learn to depend on each other through all of that. And fast forward into adulthood, they're still kind of depending on each other, but there is just something about the way that they depend on each other that it's kind of a little eerie. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. The next question, favorite new author, and I have quite a few, so bear with me. The first one being Emily McIntyre. I already talked about her dark Disney reimagining series that I read. I absolutely ate them up, loved every bit of them. The next author would be James Patterson. James Patterson has just came in and taken over my life, to be honest. I'm not sure where he came from. Next one is Linda Riley. She wrote the Up to No Good series, which is the cheese shop mystery series that I've talked about. Mary Allen, I have also already talked about her books, the Ice Cream Shop mystery series. And lastly, Sarah Adams. Again, Sarah Adams is just such a unique romance writer, and I cannot wait to read more by her. Next question, newest fictional crush. Look, I mean, y'all really want me to answer this question? Y'all really want me to answer this question? Okay. Y'all already know that it's Erin Warner. Next question is newest favorite character. And I also have a couple of options for this one. And the first one being Carly from the Cheese Shop Mystery series. I love how resilient she is, but she's also very talented and can make a mean grilled cheese. Next favorite character would have to be Marjorie and Alice from The Giver of Stars. I've already explained this one, but their friendship alone is just something that you could only truly read in a book. Next new favorite character, and this one may seem funny to you, but that is Carrie's dad in Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love her dad. I cannot remember his name right now. I think it starts with a J. But he is, first of all, he is hilarious. And two, he sticks by Carrie no matter how Carrie treats him, okay? Carrie can be a little rough sometimes. But her dad has her back all the time. And that's my favorite kind of person. Speaking of Carrie Soto is Back, that leaves me to my next question, which is books that made you cry. I sobbed in this book, okay? I sobbed because I was reading it and it was going good and everything was going fine, and then I just had a feeling. I had a feeling. And it made me sob. The next question, books that made me happy. First one being a graphic novel, and that's Sheets by Brenna Thumler. This is about this girl named Marjorie, and Marjorie has just lost her mom. And her mom and her dad owned this laundromat. And her dad is really down with grief. He doesn't want anything to do with the laundromat, and so it kind of puts the laundromat onto Marjorie's shoulders. And one day, this cute little ghost gets stuck in her laundromat. Next book that made me happy was The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And I know I'm really late to the game on this one because everybody and their brother have already read this book. But I took this to the beach with me, and I just love how the salty air has made it sort of swollen a little bit. I just love that because it just brings me back to reading this book at the beach. But I mean, nobody asked for that fact, but I gave it to you anyway. So this one is following our main character, Avery, and Avery has just found out that she is inheriting something from her late grandfather, and she's like, that is not my grandfather. And so she's taken away to this estate to try to figure out what's going on. And this was a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I think that is a common thing that most people are finding, is that the title is a little bit deceiving because it's called The Inheritance Games, and I truly thought that that's what the most of the story was going to be. And there are riddles and games and stuff that take place in here, but there's also many different aspects. There's friendship, there's romance, there's all sorts of things that are also going along with the games. Next question, most beautiful book that you've bought or received. And that's an easy one. That's an easy one. The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. If you know me in real life, I'm a sucker for lemons. Like, my entire classroom is lemons, as well as my kitchen. So obviously I would be gravitated toward this one. And obviously I can't get by this question without talking about Emily Henry's Happy Place. This is her new release that just came out. I am a sucker for the hot pink though. Like, I was lucky enough to get the book that is all the way hot pink, not just the dust cover. And the last question is a big one, and that is, what books do you still need to read by the end of the year? Oh man, I have started so many series that I need to finish, or I would like to at least get a good chunk of the series read. Obviously, I need to finish the Shatter Me series because I'm going to absolutely lose my mind before I finish it. Also would like to read the Hawthorne Legacy, which I have. Yes, I have it. I don't know if you can tell, but I have it right here. I do want to finish that series because I just love that series so much. I also read ACOTAR a couple months ago, and I need to read ACOMAF. I hear that this is the best book in the series, so obviously I need to give it a try. This is a big one. Oh my gosh, look at me making a mess. This is a big one. This movie comes out in November, and my brother and I are going to go watch it, and so obviously I need to read this book. And there are so many cozy mystery series that I have started this year that I would love to get more into. Obviously with cozies, there are a lot of books in each series, so I may not finish any series this year, but I would really like to get a good chunk of them read. And there you have it, my friends. That is my mid-year book freakout tag. Again, I'm not freaking out right now, but again, like, check with me in 3 months and we'll see where we're at. Okay? And if you stuck with me this long, please leave me the little guy that's like freaking out, because we're supposed to be freaking out in this video. Please give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to stick around, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!